Not a lot of good things to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyways. So let's go back a week or so ago to when the Celtics took on the Los Angeles Lakers. And this was supposed to be a huge game because LeBron James was coming into town, but they were coming off a loss against the Pacers, a 42-point loss to be exact. And the Pacers didn't even have Oladipo. So not quite sure what happened there to Bron and the Lakers, but somehow they bounced back, of course, because what happens when people come into the Garden? I don't know. Things just go awry. So the Celtics had a 5-game win streak at this point. The Lakers were on a 2-game losing streak. And they were mediocre. They were a 500 team. Their record was 27-27, and they were, 10th in the West. So, out of the playoff picture. But somehow, some way, they came back from an 18-point deficit. The Celtics were doing really well, but you know how they are in the third quarters. But to be honest with you, while I was watching this game, and even Brad Stevens said it when they asked him on the sidelines, it was right after the half. Sometimes the reporters ask the coaches during a timeout how they feel, what they were thinking. And Brad hit the nail on the head. He said, somewhere like 6 minutes left in the second quarter, through the third quarter, they played awful. And that was very apparent. They did so well in the first quarter. They came out guns blazing. And then they somehow lost their lead, lost their minds. And Rondo, like, how do you I don't even know. Like, I'm so conflicted because can you hate Rondo for being Rondo? It was like vintage Rondo in the Garden. Can you be mad at that? Can you be mad at his game-winning buzzer beater? That was his first buzzer beater ever. So it's like I'm so conflicted on that loss because I'm happy for Rondo. Rondo is a great guy. He's actually one of the most real Celtics players or former Celtics players that I can think of when he was quoted on saying, we don't hang titles, like Eastern Conference title banners in the Garden, we hang championship banners. We have 17 of them. So I just like how honest Rondo is, but he played lights out in the Garden, and I think he was proving a point and making a statement that the Garden will always be his home. It wasn't a bad game for the first half. I mean, it was a close game, good game, but losing an 18-point lead, there's really no excuse for that, especially at home in the Garden. When you won 10 out of your last 11 before that at home, you got to play better than that. Doesn't matter if it's the LeBron effect. Doesn't matter. You need to come out playing stronger. Then, 3 days later, they go to the Clippers and... the Clippers came here. And boom, 2-game losing streak. But okay, so I was working, so I didn't watch this game, and I'm glad I didn't watch this game, because how do you blow a 28-point lead at home against the Clippers? A Clipper team that's mediocre at best, 30-26, 8th in the West, so if they hold on, they might make playoffs, but lose in the first round? I mean, it's the Clippers. Come on. Like, again, you see typical Celtics playing down to terrible teams. This happened with the Lakers. I don't care that LeBron's on the team. If you look at their record, they're a 500 team. They're 10th. They're not making playoffs. Now you see the Clippers, same situation. They're barely hanging on to that 8th spot. They won't make it far. Look at the West. The West is stacked, okay? There's no way that they're going anywhere in playoffs if they even stay in the running for playoffs. 26 games left in the season. How do you lose it? And people are like, oh, well, Kyrie went out with an injury and at halftime. It's like, no, sorry. I couldn't watch the game, so I'm not sure how they were doing chemistry-wise with Kyrie off the court. But when you see that Hayward was the leading scorer with 19 points off the bench, there's issues here. And then it's just typical Celtics fashion. They have a season-high 74 points in the first half, and then a season-low 38 points in the second half. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. It's night and day. You see how they just fall apart when any sort of adversity or conflict arises. And then the hits just keep on coming because Marcus Morris, who we all thought was cool, calm, and collected in the sense of being a leader on this team, having that BWA, bench with attitude, but took it to the starting five, now all of a sudden he's quoted on saying, "We haven't had fun in a long time. This has been miserable. We're not fun. Like, no one's enjoying each other. We're all individuals," which I have said that everyone's playing individually and no one is playing a team game. But then it's like, okay, you were just on a 5-game win streak a week ago, and everyone was like, this is fun, everything's great, we're all having fun. And now because you're on a 2-game losing streak, all of a sudden it hasn't been fun for a while, and it's just not fun anymore. It's just like, are you being a little over dramatic here? Like, what's not fun? Call them out. If you're so, if you are so inclined to take it to the media now, everyone's so inclined to just jump right to the media and demand things. Anthony Davis demanding a trade. Like, all these people just like going to the public before they keep it in-house or talk to the people in-house. And then there's the devil's advocate who says, well, how many times do you think they have said it in-house and no one has listened to them? And they felt like all they had was an audience with a camera, and they felt like if they brought it to the public, they'd get more attention and get their voice heard. But it's just like, is there a cancer on the team? Is that cancer Kyrie? I'm not saying that Kyrie is a bad player. I am saying that you have so much talent, young talent, that they don't know how to play as a team and accept their roles. I'm not going to place full blame on Kyrie Irving or Hayward or any individual person because it's a team. It's a team effort. It's a team issue. It's a team problem. I think it's everyone. I think it's the fact that you want to look at Rozier's numbers starting versus off the bench and how he's a completely different player. And then you want to look at how, these players step up in the absence of Irving, of Hayward, of all these guys that were starters, and then they come off the bench and then they go back to the bench. It's like they don't know what their identity is because half the season last year they were all starters, but now they're all bench players. And regardless of how many minutes they're getting, I think it's just a stigma in their head like, oh, if I'm coming off the bench, I'm not as good. Look at Lou Williams tonight, 45 points. He is the best sixth man in the game. You really think that he cares if he's in the game 10 minutes earlier than when he comes in? Like, no, dude. Like, if you're a good player, if you are an athlete and if you are a good player and you have skill and you are consistent and you put up numbers, it doesn't matter when you enter a game or how long you play in a game. It's how you utilize your minutes and what you do with the time that you have when you're in a game. So I'm sick of all the, oh, well, I was a starter and now I'm not a starter and I want 25 minutes, not 24 minutes and blah, 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 blah. Like, seriously? Who cares? Like, who cares? It's a game. You're supposed to be having fun. And you're not. And it's just stupid. Like, I'm embarrassed right now. I'm embarrassed at how they're acting, how they're crying to the media, how you lose 2 games in a row and now it's not fun and I don't want to play and boo-hoo, I don't want to play. It's like, bro, you're a team. You need to figure it out. It's like, I don't have words for it because it's just crazy. Like, you're grown men. This is a sport that you're getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to play. And it's just all drama. It's literally like a bunch of teenage girls. Super dramatic. And I can't. Celtics now drop down to the 5 seed because of these 2 losses. The East is neck and neck right now for the 2, 3, and 4, 5 spots. They're all within like 1-2 games of each other. It's really going to come down to the wire. There's 26 games left to play in the regular season, and these games need to matter, and these games all count. And it's not getting any easier. And of course, Kyrie is now going to be out for the 10th game this season. He is not traveling to Philadelphia. The Celtics are taking on the newly fully loaded 76ers. In the trade deadline, the Celtics did nothing, which usually they don't. And people are still trying to say that they're going to try and go after Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis becomes a free agent or whatever, July 1st rolls around. And if they can keep Kyrie, whatever, blah, 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 it's all up in the air. But as of right now, nothing was done for them for the trade deadline. It came and went. But the 76ers made a lot of moves. They ended up picking up Tobias Harris, who is a huge pickup. He is nasty. He's a really good player. They picked him up from the Clippers, as well as Boban Marjanovic. And he's a huge dude, big dude. Shaq likes to say, "You ring," because he looks like that guy, that actor. But both those guys, they consider themselves a package deal. They are really good players from the Clippers, and their starting five looks pretty fierce. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, can't hit a three, and will never hit a three. Joel Embiid and JJ Redick. And, that's a pretty solid starting five, but that might be all their depth that they have, if you really think about it, besides Boban coming off the bench as a big man. The thing that is always an issue with the Celtics is their size, and of course having Aaron Baines out, and possibly not having Robert Williams, again, because he's been a question mark this whole season. Yes, we call him the Time Lord. Yeah, he gets blocks. He was averaging a crazy amount of blocks per game when he plays, but he's been a question mark wild card for his injuries or his personal problems. We never really know when he's available or when he's not available. He also is constantly on the Red Claws and, on the bench, dressed or not. He doesn't really get many minutes, so that's difficult. And it's kind of confusing to me because when Brad Stevens complains about lack of size and the fact that they are a small lineup and they are a small roster and a small team size-wise, you would think that you would want to give more minutes. Yeah, he's a rookie, but look how well Jason Tatum did as a rookie last year. You got to give those guys minutes and opportunities to prove themselves. So they are traveling. They will play the 76ers tomorrow night. It's a primetime game. It is on ESPN, I believe. It's an 8 o'clock game. It's a very big game. However, despite all of this, and despite the fact that the Celtics have issues, they are leading the series against the 76ers 2-0. Typically, in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics will play teams 3 to 4 times a season when they're in the same conference. So as of right now, the Celtics have beat the 76ers twice in both appearances that they have faced with them this year. This will be the third appearance tomorrow night. And this is really a challenge. This is really a test. With Irving out, usually they do better. They are 7-2 with Irving out this year, and the 2 losses were away games. And the Celtics are 13-13 for away games, and they are 22-8 now for home records, wins and losses this season. Doing much better at home than on the road this year. Can they pull it together and do well in Philadelphia tomorrow night? We don't know. Hopefully the team that rises to the occasion and plays up to tough competition will show up tomorrow. But that's kind of been the theme all year with the Celtics is you don't know what team you're going to get what night. There is no consistency. There's no set roles. There's no set chemistry. There's no set plan. I don't blame Brad Stevens. A lot of people want to place blame on Brad, say fire Brad, trade Kyrie, blah, 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 blah. People need to realize there's a lot more games to play. You don't need to be so dramatic. And I think that the Celtics will go pretty far in the postseason because that's just the type of team that they are. When it matters, even though every game should matter, but when it matters the most, they step up and rise to the occasion. They have beaten every single top team in the East already. Whether they were down players or not, they rose to the occasion and beat the Bucks, beat the Sixers, beat the Raptors. They beat all these teams already. Beat OKC. You beat all these teams, But when it comes to like playing really bad teams, they just don't care. They're just like, whatever. And it's funny because Marcus Smart was quoted, this was back when they were winning, of course, he was quoted by saying, "We are hunted. We get the toughest games from everyone because everyone has something to prove against us. They bring their best game, their best effort. They want to beat us. We are the hunted. We are the targeted." And that's very true. And he said himself, we can't judge a team on their record. We need to just play the team that's on the court. And I 100% agree with that. If everyone could get on the same page, same mentality, same mindset as that, the Celtics would be undefeated. They need to have that mindset of, it doesn't matter what team I'm facing record-wise or effort-wise or whatever. They need to make it a challenge within themselves and think that this team that they're facing is a challenge, regardless. So we'll see if that type of attitude can be brought tomorrow night in Philadelphia, playing the Sixers. They need to break the losing streak. They need to knock down the 76ers off their high horse because they think that they have this super team now. So we'll see who comes to play tomorrow night. I will be back and I will let you know what my thoughts were as I get to actually watch the full play-by-play tomorrow. And tune in. We'll talk about it. We'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night.